Good evening, good morning. This is the Temporary Space Show, episode 27. I'm your host, Jim Lettuce. This is a podcast where we talk about technology and entertainment and where they collide. So I have like 100 tabs on my iPhone right now. It's running really slow. We're going to try to get through them. We're not going to get through all of them. I figured out last episode that if I go over an hour, I have to lower the quality of the MP3. So I've made an executive decision, and I'm just going to cut it off in an hour. So whatever we get through, we get through. The main thing I really want to talk about is how the new AI systems, like the large language models like ChatGPT and all that, they're actually powered by nuclear power. I think I'll put that as the title, because I watched this whole episode of Joe Rogan, and I'll try to find the episode name. That'll be the headlining thing. I want to talk about, let's just go through these articles that I saved. So apparently, China released a CGI video of a moon base, and I just want to talk about how the moon is the next frontier before space. Obviously, America put the American flag there, like what, in the 60s? So we're talking like 50 years ago or more. I can't do my math, but it's been a long time. And I think we are idiots to let China and India beat us there to build a base. I'm pretty sure America has announced that we're going to build a base. China and India definitely did. India recently launched like a rover thing there, and it worked. It was a big deal. I talked about it on the last episode, or I think it was like 2 episodes ago. And Japan tried, but theirs failed. But so as of now, America did it first, Russia was second, Japan failed, then India did it for sure. So Japan will get there next, I assume, unless something crazy happens. But they released like this rendering, and the article is like mad that they used a NASA spacecraft in their video, and they're like, oh, they're talking smack, it's humor, they're throwing stones at us. No, I think what happened was whatever dude was assigned to make it, he just used some like Unreal Engine 4 assets that are free, and I bet you one of them is just a NASA thing. That's what I think. But I think this is a nothing burger. It's not that interesting. People want to make it a big deal, but it is what it is. Again, we need to put a base there. First of all, because it's cool, but they're going to beat us. We can't, it's just about territory. We have to get the drop on the other countries. Otherwise, we will lose our top spot. We're already losing it economically. It's not good. They're saying that that India and China are going to take over economically, like be bigger than America economics-wise, like in 10 years. So if we correct course, we might be able to fix it, but whatever. What else? So this one talks about the PlayStation free games. Sorry, the free PlayStation Plus games for May. And one of them is Tunic, which looks really cool. I'll try to make a gaming video on the YouTube channel about it. It's like this little fox, and it's an RPG. It's one of those like isometric looking RPGs, which is pretty cool. It's very simple. Lately, I'm really into these. I like these like simple, colorful RPGs. A very good example of this is the new South Park game. South Park Snow Day? That's the perfect example. Simple, there's like fighting, it's hack and slash, it's not turn-based, but it also has RPG skill trees and stuff like that, but it's colorful. I like it. Highly recommend it. I have yet to make a video, but, it is what it is. The other one is EA Sports FC, which is the EA version of, I think it used to be FIFA, and I think it's just called EA Sports FC? Or is that different? Hold on, we gotta look this up. Is FIFA different than EA Sports? Okay, soccer video games. Than EA Sports FC. Strike out on its own. Okay, so it's different from FIFA. So this is the EA Sports version of FIFA. FIFA is like the biggest, one of the biggest sports games of all. It might be bigger than the NBA 2K. Probably not. At least, but maybe in the world it is. Because NBA 2K is pretty big. People spend like thousands and thousands of dollars on their characters. There's a viral video where this dude who's like a live streamer who does NBA 2K, his girlfriend deleted his profile as a prank, and clearly she didn't understand that like that's how he makes money, and he lost his mind. He was like throwing chairs and flipping out. I would too. Like that's how he pays the bills. But apparently he got in contact with them, and he's such a big streamer that they reactivated his account somehow, so he's okay. But yeah, big deal games. The other one is Ghost Runner 2, which is like this free running first person shooter kind of thing. It's like a speed run game almost, where you like parkour and running through these courses and shooting people. I think you have a sword, but it also is, I think it's okay. I watched a gameplay trailer. It's okay. What else? We talked about Tunic. Oh, Destiny 2 Lightfall. That is like not the newest DLC, but the last DLC for Destiny 2. My buddy hit me up the other day and he was like, yo man, you got to play Destiny 2 again. And I fell off like years ago because it started to become just too much, too many currencies, too many things to do. I loved Destiny 1. I'm a hardcore fan of Destiny. I played Destiny 2 for years, but it just got so complicated. I remember there was like I wanted to upgrade my armor or something, and you had to like do these random missions in some random part of the world, but then you had to like get these weird balls that you put in this like machine that would transform your other armor to this new armor with different currencies. It was just like, oh, I just want to level up my armor. Back in Destiny 1 and the beginning of 2, you would just play the game and armor would drop, and that armor would be better, like loot, like RNG loot. Eventually you would get like better armor, and there was certain missions and quests where you could get legendary armor, but it just became so convoluted. But they just had a new DLC where it's called the Final State or something like that. I think shoot, somebody texted me. Sorry. It's like the final DLC, but I think it's quote unquote the final. I think they're probably going to do Destiny 3, which is cool. I'll play it. I've been watching a lot of gameplay videos, and I kind of want to jump back into it just because it looks so good. It's got that Halo gameplay, which I love, and it's so bright and colorful. That's exactly the kind of games that I want to do on our channel. So maybe I'll jump back into it. I don't know. Alright, that's enough Destiny talk. Alright, Todd Howard finally relents after calling out. They did an update with Starfield that made it like a lot better. And it's not just like bug fixes. They added a 60 frames per second mode. There's like a thing where you can change all the settings of the game. You can change like the damage, the music, the carry weight, like everything. It's all these little sliders you can change. I like it. I still want to play it. I've gone on record saying, look, I'm going to do it. I got to get a Series X at some point. Probably not going to buy a PC. I guess I might. But the Series X is so much cheaper. So we'll see what happens. But they finally added a map and stuff like that. And it seems like it's way better than it was before. A lot of people are hating on the game because, that's how it is now. They release games that are broken. I've come to accept it. It doesn't really bother me that much. What bothers me is when they gaslight us and they're like, what do you mean the game's great? It's like, no, just fix it. Like with No Man's Sky, they said, sorry, we'll fix it. They did. It's two-pronged. You have to admit and acknowledge that it's broken, and you have to fix it. You can't just act like it's cool and then quietly try to fix it. You have to actually just be like, look, sorry, it's not ready. We should have, I think a lot of it is shareholders. They just have to release a game. It can't work on a game for 10 years because a competitor will just release something better. Happens all the time. So you just have to beat them to the market and just get your game out there, fix it later. But I think with all this AI stuff, games hopefully will get made faster. They're probably going to become more expensive though, which is bullshit. They really should let them, I don't know, they're never going to lower the price. People want games to get lower. I believe they're too much. They're all $70. I only buy them on sale now. But, from a business standpoint, there's no way they're ever going to make them cheaper. Unless it's like a lower style game. Like, I don't want to say Helldivers 2, because that's really a great game. But it's not exactly AAA. I would say it was like a 2.5A game. And it has since been upgraded to a AAA. But, like, you could argue the production value is AAA. But in terms of just the whole scope of the player base and the assets and the graphics, like, it's almost AAA. They have since become AAA just because, like, there's that many people playing it. But, yeah, I digress. So the point is, Starfield looks cool. Okay, so this is an old one. This is what I get for waiting till the end of the month. But Sony and an investment firm, Apollo, they offered to buy Paramount for $26 billion. It's no secret that Paramount, Max, and Discovery are floundering. They're not making enough money. I know that HBO Max and Discovery merged recently, and the word is that Paramount's going to join them. And I think if Sony bought them, that would be cool. I would like to have like a Sony streaming service, right? Because I love Sony. I'm a Sony fanboy. I've gone on record saying that. But I don't know. I think the smoke has cleared and Netflix is dominating the streaming wars. I think they won. It's kind of like McDonald's, where you want to argue that McDonald's might be the worst fast food place because they're the first, but they're also the first. They've been doing it the longest. That's why they still dominate, no matter what you do. I don't think you can get rid of McDonald's. I hope not. I'm also an investor in McDonald's, so I'm biased, but we'll see. I think it would be interesting if Max got bought. Currently, I have my Max, or Paramount Plus too. I don't think I ever actually had a Paramount Plus. I remember this girl from work let me use her Paramount Plus, but that I only used it. She was like, "You gotta watch SpongeBob," because I didn't get all the references. Because, sorry, SpongeBob was actually like my generation. Maybe a few years. I was a little old when it came out, but it was definitely, I was in an age group that would watch it. And I just never watched it. I remember that it would come on after Avatar Last Airbender, and I hated that song, like the intro song, especially when I would turn on the TV and realize that I missed Avatar, and then that intro song would come on, so it made me like hate SpongeBob, but whatever. The point is, I think that Sony should buy Paramount. That's what I'm getting at. We'll see what happens. Alright, next. Boeing Starliner is ready to fly. So Boeing, you've heard about Boeing in the news. There's, wheels falling off and the door of a plane fell off and all these like safety issues, and there's something wrong with their production line, like at many levels of their assembly line. I don't know what it is exactly, but they're having some trouble. There was reports of corruption and no quality control, and their witnesses that were going to testify. Officially, 2 of them have died in very mysterious ways. One of them committed suicide. Oh my gosh. No. One of them committed suicide in a mysterious way, and right before it happened, the dude was like, I'm not suicidal. If something happens, I didn't do it. And Bob's your uncle. They wound up missing, and then so that the first dude, he allegedly suicided himself in the car in the parking lot right before he testified. How crazy is that? Now I think what happened was, put on your tinfoil hat. I think that he probably did off himself, but it's because they blackmailed him somehow. Somehow they were like, yo, your family, something or other, so you got to do it yourself. That's probably what happened. I don't know. If I end up dead, it's because I was talking about Boeing. But it's just crazy how, like, it's so obvious. And there's another witness died from a mysterious disease, which is so crazy that, like, this happens all the time now. What are we in, like, Assassin's Creed timeline? I don't know. But apparently there's, like, 8 more witnesses. So we'll see what happens. But they have a spaceship. It's called the Starliner. It was going to launch, but then it suddenly didn't, and then it was going to launch again, and then right before I recorded this, apparently they canceled it again. So if I were those dudes, I would not fly on it. If I was one of the astronauts and I'm seeing all the Boeing planes with wheels falling off, I'd be like, yo, I'm sick, bro. Right? Okay, so we got another article about China and the moon. Apparently they launched something to get a sample from the far side of the moon. Apparently we don't get much from there. So the way the moon orbit works is that when it orbits, I don't know the terminology, but we only see one side of the moon from our perspective. And there's a whole Transformers movie that talks about that we have Transformers on the other side. You know, that like the government knew about it, and that's why we never see the dark side. I think it was Dark of the Moon. So I think that must have been Transformers 3, I think. I've lost track. There's like 8 of them. But it'll be interesting to see what they get. They definitely had a space rock. I don't think it was China, though. But there was a space rock. I talked about it on one of the episodes. Okay, I have an article about RFK Jr. We're going to skip that. We don't really do politics here. We might touch on certain things, but it's definitely not a political podcast. Alright, that's another Boeing article. Alright, we're at about 18 minutes. When I get to like 40, for the last like 20 minutes, I'll go into the whole AI nuclear powered thing, which is what I want to talk about the most. Oh, also Neuralink. We'll talk about Neuralink now. So I mentioned it in the last episode. The first Neuralink has been implanted in the first human. They've been doing it in pigs, monkeys, sheep for a while now. They got FDA approval, I don't know, a year ago or something. And it was this one dude who was paraplegic. He volunteered. He was like, yo, my arms and legs don't work anyways. He's got like the Christopher Reeves straw thing to like move around. So he was like, I'll do it. Why not? And people were mad because like the monkey test trials were apparently really bad. One monkey was like banging its head on the floor till he died. One monkey like ripped it out of his head. And I talked about this last episode. People were like, oh my god, the animals, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, this is literally why we test it on the animals first, because we don't want to do this to a bunch of humans. Call me a speciesist, but I don't, like, I care about humans more than animals. Call me crazy. Is that crazy? I don't know. but the whole idea is that we want to make sure it's as safe as possible before we put humans in it. Am I right? So it worked. That was the last episode. This episode, it started to not work. So we figured out there's a whole. I might try to find some YouTube videos, but basically, his brain are like what it is. It's like a chip, and then there's little wires that go into your brain. These little wires actually disintegrated and retracted from the brain. So I don't know how many wires. There's like 50 of them or 32 or something like that, and a bunch of them, I would say like 40% of them retracted. And what's interesting is how Neuralink pivoted. They're using algorithms to get the data from the brain, right? So once this happened, they're improving the algorithms, kind of like the algorithm for YouTube, and they improved it and made it more efficient. So because there's only 40% of the wires, they started using a better algorithm, and so now it's working almost as good as it was before the disintegration. And the best part about this is they're getting so much data. It's crazy. The next few human trials are hopefully, theoretically, going to be significantly more better. They're going to get better algorithms. They're going to plan for this kind of they had planned for problems to go wrong, but apparently this specific problem they were not ready for, which isn't the end of the world. Again, these are trials, okay? Where I'm thinking timeline-wise, 5 or 10 years from now, consumers will actually get this. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping by the time I'm old enough, I can get it before I'm too old, because I've said this on the podcast before. I want to live forever. I want to put my brain in a jar with a robot body. I'm cool with that. I want to live forever. Not forever, but, a few hundred years would be cool, because I want to see how much money I can make in a few hundred years. Because people live to be like 80, but you don't really know what you're doing till you're like 20, 30-ish. People saying, what do you mean 20s, right? Most people don't get their life figured out till they're in the 30s, myself included. But, so that takes off, so what is that, 50 years? So, for 50 years, how much money can I really make? But, 200, 300 years? Hell yeah. So anyways, the point is, it's not working, and then the volunteer dude is like, oh no, they're going to have to take it out. I don't know why he's freaking out. They could literally put another one in, like a better version. Like, the version he has is like version 1.1. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just the beginning. I'm so excited. I love all this Ghost in the Shell stuff. Alright. ARM. So ARM is an interesting company. So you know how Apple started making their M2 chip? ARM is the company, I think it's the original company that used the technology that makes it where it's all on one chip. So back in the day, computers had parts. There's the processor, which is the brain. Then there's the graphics card. Then there's like the memory. And it was all different pieces that went together. And there's a bottleneck when these things have to communicate. But when you put it all on one chip, you eliminate that bottleneck. That's why the efficiency of the M chips with Apple are so crazy. And surprise, that's not the first time people have done it. It's just, I think Apple has done it really well. They talked about this on the Waveform podcast, the MKBHD's podcast that I listen to, where Apple's mantra is like, we're not going to make the first one, but we're going to make the last one the best one, the most polished version of something that already exists. So very exciting. But apparently ARM's not making as much money. Their shares tumbling. I think this is a hiccup. I think everything's in a slump. I'm all in the investor mindset these days, so I think we're apparently going into a recession for real now. They've been saying it for years, but I think the next 5 or 10 years are going to be really rough economically. So it's time to start investing in the stock market, in my opinion. But, I'm no expert. This is not financial advice. Consult your advisor, blah, blah, blah. But that's what I think. So speaking of shares tumbling, this next one is about Uber. Uber, apparently, their shares are going bad. So Uber is interesting. Uber and Lyft came out years ago. They flourished like crazy during the pandemic, obviously. But now they're tumbling, and a lot of people complain that the basic Uber and Lyft sucks so much that you're forced to do like the premium Uber, the premium Lyft. And this girl at work uses Uber to get to work, and she's always late because, or I think it's Lyft, but either way, same thing. Apparently, it's really hard to get a ride if you don't do like you got to pay out the ass. And she was complaining today. She was late again. She's like, I couldn't get a ride. I had to pay like $30 just to get a guy to show up. And this is the millennial in me speaking, but the whole point of Uber and Lyft was that it's cheaper than a taxi. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I think, I got to pause it. Hold on. Oh, man, every time I talk, now I got to clear my throat. All right, I'll try to cut that out, but no promises. But I think Uber is finally having to pay their drivers, which is messed up, but that's why it was so cheap. I think this is a sign that Uber and Lyft and all these ride shares, they're just going to be robot cars in the future. That's all there is to it. Humans are too expensive, but also it's too expensive to live these days. That's part of the reason why the economy's all messed up. Alright, let's go back to space stuff. SpaceX launched its 74th launch, the Falcon 9 rocket. It's not the big one. It's the one they always launch, the most popular one. It launches mostly satellites. Very exciting. They're so good at doing it now that they hardly ever have any issues. But it broke some kind of record, apparently. I love watching the videos. Oh, cool, there's a video of it flying with the American flag in the foreground. Hell yeah. But I guess I just wanted to bring it up that they're still going strong. I wish we could invest in SpaceX, but alas, you cannot. It's not publicly traded like Tesla. Alright, let's go to more space stuff. The Diamond exoplanet. Oh, so they found an exoplanet, which is, I don't know what exoplanet is. I should know because I'm into astronomy and all that stuff, but it's a certain type of planet. But the point is, they found a planet that's mostly made out of diamond. How cool is that? This is like... Oh, here we go. It talks about it. Extrasolar planets. I think that means planets that we can't get to that are outside of our solar system. Exoplanets they have cataloged over the years. This world is classified as Super Earth. It's more massive, but way lighter. Okay, so it's bigger than Earth. Basically. Awesome. They don't have a picture of it. They kind of do, but it's such a low quality, you can't really tell. They have all these instruments that figured out that it's made of mostly diamond. Man, I want to play No Man's Sky. I've really neglected No Man's Sky because they had an update, and I really want to record my experience of the new update for the YouTube channel, so I haven't played it in a while. But I'm going to do it soon, don't worry. Why? Okay, so here's another entertainment and technology combination. Katy Perry went viral after an AI-generated photo crowned her as one of the best dressed at the Met Gala. If you don't know what the Met Gala is, it's kind of like the Hunger Games District 1, where all the rich people who are not worried about groceries like us, they show to this party and they're dressed crazy. I think Lizzo had like an accordion on her head or something. that's what the Met Gala is. A gala is just like a fancy party for rich people, usually a fundraiser. But the Met Gala is like the most famous one, at least in America. But Katy Perry, someone used AI to make a picture of her at the Met Gala, but she never went. She didn't go to it this year for some reason. And now they're like, oh, she's the latest target of AI. Look, y'all need to understand that when you're a celebrity, they're going to use AI to put your face on things, okay? People have been doing this for decades. I remember vividly downloading a picture of Britney Spears nude, and it was literally her head on some naked chick's body. Okay, people can do this with AI now. They don't have to have Photoshop skills anymore. It's not necessarily, I'm not trying to condone it, but it's like you need to be aware. Like, you can't be like, oh no, how could this happen? Like, yo, this is going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. I think maybe they could come up with better filters or detection systems maybe. But I just wanted to talk about how they use AI to put celebrities and stuff. And if you're a smart celebrity, you'll find a way to monetize this instead of trying to fight it. You can't fight it. It's like when Napster started downloading music. The people that embraced it made money. The people that fought it, it didn't really stop it. And you just lost a bunch of money with, like, court battles. I remember when Metallica won, like, $1 million lawsuit. I guarantee they spent more than that on the lawsuit. But it is what it is. Alright, want to talk about the new Planet of the Apes movie. Apparently it's not doing that well. I really want to watch it because it's got that hottie from The Witcher. The girl who played Ciri. I think she's a big star, or gonna be a big star. She's already big enough, but she's not that big because I don't know what her name is. You probably can't think of it either. But then again, that brings up the whole point where are celebrities dead? Are movie stars dead? Is it just roles now? Like, who's the next Spider-Man? Not Tom Holland. But then again, Tom Holland is a big star, so I don't know. But it looks great. Caesar of the original Planet of the Apes. Well, the original is like the one from the 70s. And then they did a bunch of remakes. They did a remake in the early 2000s with Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark himself. It was pretty bad, but I kind of like it nostalgia ways. But the new ones, well, to me they're new, but they're actually like 10 years old. The ones with Andy Serkis, okay, those are done. They had a third one. Caesar is, spoiler alert, he's dead. So this is a new monkey star. Oh, her name's Freya Allen. Okay, she is a star. I've heard her. I should know her name. I want to see it because she's in it. But apparently the movie is really good critically, but financially it's kind of flopping. Also, the Ryan Gosling Stuntman movie flopped. Apparently the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer were like exceptions. Everybody's scratching their head. They don't really know why movies are flopping. I think part of it is Netflix is so ubiquitous and online streaming. Like, these kids at work, whenever they talk about watching a new movie, I always make it a point to ask them, okay, where did you watch it? Did you download it? Did you get a disc somewhere? And even for old movies, they just stream it, period. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh no, I love my discs like some kind of hipster. But I was thinking about it. I've got all these Blu-rays at home. I can't remember the last time I actually watched one. Isn't that crazy? I went through all the trouble to buy the PlayStation disc with a disc, and I hardly ever use it. So, like, this girl was talking about watching Zoolander because she had heard it was good, and she watched it on Amazon. Like, she did it where you rent it or buy it, and it's just crazy to me. Like, I'm really sad because I like the quality of Blu-ray, but it's actually harder and harder to find a disc version of your movie. Like, there's this one movie called Annihilation with Natalie Portman. I don't know if it even has a Blu-ray. Let's see. Hold on. Natalie Portman movie Annihilation on Blu-ray. Watch, it probably doesn't even exist. Oh, it does exist. See, sometimes movies, they get put on Blu-ray by these like boutique companies. There's this company that actually pays the money to license old movies and put them on Blu-ray. They did one for The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, which is a movie that we reviewed on the Netflix podcast. Check it out, link in the description. But the Blu-ray itself was like $100. I still want to buy it, but the economy's rough, so I haven't bought it yet. Okay, more merging with streaming services. Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery combined for new Disney Plus Hulu Max streaming bundle. It's basically cable again. Everything's combining. You get like a million channels you never watch because you can't get the one channel you want because they don't make any money that way. And I get it. It's a bummer. I think, it's Netflix. That's all it is. Because I find myself saying, okay, whatever this movie or show is, it better be on Netflix. Otherwise, I'm not going to see it. Like, I really want to watch Invincible and the new House of Cards and the Fallout show, but I don't know if I'm going to get Max or Amazon to watch it. I might do Max just because I really want to see the new Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon or whatever, but, we'll see. We shall see. But, it is what it is. But people are mad about Jerry Seinfeld. I don't remember why. Alright, so let's talk about Lord of the Rings. The Search for Gollum. The Hunt for Gollum, sorry. So apparently somebody made a fan film called The Hunt for Gollum in 2009. Okay, we're talking almost 15 years ago. Or sorry. Yeah, almost 15 years ago. That's crazy. But apparently they're trying to make a new Lord of the Rings movie, and it's going to be The Hunt for Gollum. And so they're trying to sue the fan film people, which is so dumb. What you need to do is hire those assholes and have them help make your movie. All that does is make people want to watch it, and it makes you think you're a good guy company, and the people that made the fan film will support it, and their fans will support it. God, these companies are so dumb. They're always fighting, like Nintendo. They fight the modders and the fan film people. When instead, you need to embrace it. Bethesda used to embrace modders. Now they kind of don't. So it's kind of annoying. It's just so dumb. There's money on the table. But they filed a copyright claim against those dudes. So dumb. But, what sucks is this movie that's going to come out, it's not going to be as good as the fan film. I guarantee it. But whatever. Apparently the Hunt for Gollum fan film is still on YouTube. Interesting. I've never even heard of it till now. But I just wanted to talk about it. I think it's a cool idea. They're making another Lord of the Rings. Honestly, all these remakes, what they need to do is just re-release the movie. Apparently when they re-released the Spider-Man movies, they made like $200 million. Just, if you're listening to this, big studios, just re-release your old movies. Everybody hates the new ones anyways. Am I right? So, that's another Gollum one. We're getting close to the 40-minute mark. I still have so many tabs. Let's see. I don't know if I care about all these. Chris Pine did a movie about a pool man. Apparently, it sucked, but he really liked it. And he had a fun... Okay, a lot of times when people have a good time on a movie, the movie sucks. Apparently, this was the case, and everybody hated it. But he said that it made him just, force himself to enjoy the experience more. And I swear, dude, how old is this dude? Hey, Siri. How old is Chris Pine?
Chris Pine is 43 years old.
God, this dude has great genes. He He looks great. He's like pushing. He's barely looks like he's 30. It's crazy. Even though he's dressing really weird lately, I don't know if he's doing that for clout or if he actually wants to do it. Alright, that's some political stuff. We'll skip that. Boeing launch stuff. We'll skip that. Something about space. We'll skip that. Alright. Okay. Well, this is interesting. The world's first aerospike rocket flight test ends in disaster. So they had a new... Oh, Polaris. So this is a startup. Apparently the landing gear. So it's a new propulsion system. And apparently it didn't work. This is very exciting technology. So it's a new type of engine, apparently. And it did not work. They're always trying to make new stuff like this. This is what pushes us towards Star Trek, okay? The Aerospike engine, what a badass name. That's so cool. Alright, so it says a conventional rocket is more efficient. The Aerospike designs... So this is more efficient from sea level. I don't understand. I should have read this one. Alright, I'll get back to it whenever it works. Alright. Emoji stuff, we'll skip that. Alright, more. So apparently they're worried about the damage to these moon rover vehicles. The NASA Artemis 1, they're going back to the moon, but apparently it took a beating during the trip and they're worried about how much it got beat up. I don't know if it's from like solar damage or like space rocks. Yeah, it's from heat. That's what it is. So I guess they need to make a stronger material. The real problem is they're saying that this is going to be bad for human spaceflight. If you watch the original Star Trek remake with Carl Urban and Chris Pine, there's a scene where Bones, that's Carl Urban's character, the doctor guy, there's a scene where Bones is like, he talks about how dangerous space is, and he's right. It's super duper dangerous. That's the biggest issue with space travel and humans is how dangerous it is. But, you know, I love all that stuff. It's so cool. Alright, we're at the 40-minute mark. I want to talk about... I'm just going to freeball it. I watched this episode of Joe Rogan, or I listened to it, rather. Let's see if I can find it. It was episode... Okay, episode 2156 with Jeremy and Edward Harris. They are the heads of this company called Gladstone AI, one of the more prominent AI companies. So, if you've been living under a rock, AI has been a thing for decades. The movie The Matrix that came out 25 years ago, they talk about AI. The Terminator movies, we're all afraid AI is going to take over. It probably will. But about a year and a half ago, OpenAI created ChatGPT, which is a large language model, which is not, it's not exactly AI. It's more like a magic 8-ball. It mimics human intelligence, and it doesn't really know what it's saying. It's not self-aware. And this whole episode talks about that, how they have these things called hallucinations where it'll say something that's wrong, and it's kind of like a child. It's not smart enough to know that it's wrong. So it's not really lying, it's just wrong. So they call it a hallucination. Like if you ask it a question, it'll give you an answer that's crazy, so you have to double check it. It's not perfect, but it's still very, very powerful. And the breakthrough was ChatGPT 3, but they recently released ChatGPT 4. I think they had 4.0 6 months ago. This stuff advances so fast. They had it it's like 4.2 version, I guess. Now you can talk to it like Siri, and it's very exciting because this Joe Rogan episode talked about it. They really explained it because I didn't really fully understand it. So these language models, they figured out that if you have enough compute power, if you have enough servers and, you know, electricity, you can make it smarter. They figured out that, you know, there's a scale where it's not exponential, it's 1-to-1. So like if you put you put X amount of computer processing power, which means server space, processing power itself, and electricity, if you put, X amount of that, you get X amount of like IQ points. So that means if you put more of it in there, you get a smarter machine. So, which brings me to the title of the whole episode, which is nuclear-powered AI. Apparently, the only way they can get enough power for these things is to use nuclear power. Now, I've talked about energy in the past. We've covered nuclear power plants and stuff. As dangerous as nuclear power is, it is by far one of the highest yielding energy sources we could ever use. You talk about something like solar that's a very low yield, which means you have to use tons of money and equipment, and you get not much power out of it. And then traditional like coal power plants and electricity power plants that we have, that's a pretty high efficiency. That's why our world uses it. But it's not that good. It's not as good as nuclear, right? The problem with nuclear power is it's dangerous. The whole Fallout video game series and TV show is about this. There's a nuke that goes off. The Chernobyl power plant in the 80s, human neglect and inefficiency is what happened. Or I guess human incompetence. That's why that power plant exploded. And that's the biggest problem, is human fallacy, basically. Human failures. And people are saying, oh, we can use AI to make nuclear power plants. That's kind of scary because then you end up with a Space Odyssey 2001 Terminator scenario where suddenly AI controls this thing that can kill us all. But, man, oh man, if we could find a way to do it safely, nuclear energy, we would literally never need energy again. Energy wars would be over if we all could actually use it. Like, I don't think you understand. I didn't understand it till I learned about the Mars rover. Because you think, oh, how powerful could a nuke thing be? It's about efficiency. It's not about can it blow up a city or whatever. It's about efficiency. So the battery of a Mars rover will last 1,000 years. Isn't that crazy? The battery is the size of like a small candle, or like an Xbox controller. That's it. Like a Amazon Alexa device. And apparently, so like Amazon they bought up some AI server building or whatever, but it's right next to a nuclear power plant. So basically that is the next frontier, is AI powered or nuclear powered AI, which is just insane. That's so exciting and cool, and I'm excited to see where these language models go. Obviously, OpenAI, ChatGPT is dominating. Microsoft basically owns it. That's why I invested in Microsoft. NVIDIA is mostly the computer chips being used for all this. NVIDIA stock actually jumped recently. I kind of wish I had got into it, but I decided to invest in Apple specifically because they make their own computer chips. I think that's a good way to go because I wanted exposure to the computer market, the microchip market. Also Microsoft as well, but they don't really make chips. I invested in them for AI specifically. But, we'll see how it goes. I know that Microsoft implemented ChatGPT into Bing, and apparently it sucks. Google's AI, which is Gemini, apparently that's okay. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as OpenAI. And then these guys that do Gladstone AI, they're very interesting. I don't really know that much about them. Obviously, I haven't heard about them that much. I've heard the name though. And the best part about this podcast episode, the Joe Rogan one, it is, I'll tell you the name of it again. Episode 2156 with Jeremy and Edward Harris. They really go into the logistics of how the research works. They said apparently they were like physicists before, and then they realized the writing on the wall a couple of years ago, and they were like, oh, AI, we got to get into this. And they started talking to a lot of people in the government to try to get the government aware of the existential threat of AI. This is something that Elon Musk has been talking about for ages. He's been saying for years that it's dangerous. We got to be careful because this thing will become smarter than us, okay? And people can't really fathom what do you do when you have something smarter than you, because we think, oh, like Terminator, it could try to take us over by force, but they're not thinking about it could outsmart us. It could start, like, this is where you get into the Matrix where it can enslave us and we don't even realize it. Like, think about how with social media, we're so vulnerable to manipulation. Imagine if an AI that is smarter than us just started utilizing AI, social media to control us. And the next thing you know, we're those people in Wall-E sitting in the chairs, eating food, watching screens. I mean, we're kind of already there in America, right? But it's very interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared. I've said on the record that we need to turn it off and not use it anymore, but I can't help it. I used it to get a job recently. I'll go into it on the next episode, but I was applying for a job and I had to do this cover letter, and I just used ChatGPT, and it was great. It was very efficient. I basically typed what I wanted it to say, and I was like, yo, make it better. I think as of now, May 2024, the value of these, ChatGPT type stuff is a tool. It cannot do it for you. You have to do it. Like, you need to develop the skill of how to prompt AIs. Like, AI prompting is a new skill that is in demand, for sure. So, I don't really know what else to talk about. I just think that it's so, like, this is it, y'all. This is the new, for a while, a few years ago, I thought 3D printing was the next revolution, the next technology revolution, like invention of agriculture and the printing press, stuff like that. This is it. It's these large language models, AI and all that. So, take a seat, enjoy it. Like, I think we're definitely going to have to join AI, like the singularity, like Ray Kurzweil. I think that's the only way to go. But, who am I to say? So I'll keep you updated. We'll talk more about it next episode. We're almost at an hour, so we're just going to call it a day. I did not get through my articles. Let me go through them real quick. I don't know if there's anything that important that I really want to talk about. Film stuff, supernovas. Not really. I almost need to try to do the episode at the 3-week mark, because if I wait a whole month, like the last day, I almost have too many articles, like too much information to get in. So I think, there is one thing I want to talk about. They're putting Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass. Surprise, Microsoft bought them. But apparently they're saying they're making changes to Game Pass. So Xbox Game Pass is going to be more expensive, I guess, which is a bad move. I know they have shareholders, but I don't know. Then again, Netflix keeps raising their price. People still do that. So maybe, I don't know. We'll cover this next episode, but Microsoft in the video game world is not doing that well. But then again, the video game industry itself is, they're saying we're having the second great crash. The biggest crash was in the 80s, right before all the 90s game stuff happened. So it's all the big cycle. It's up and down. So with this video game crash, means in 10 years it should be way better. It's really the rise of indie titles. So if you're an indie game maker, now's the time. Get into the game. I wanted to make a game for a long time. I might try to do it. I don't know. It's so much trouble. But it is what it is. Anyways, thanks for watching or listening. This is the Temporary Space Show, episode 27. I'm your host, Jim Lettuce. If you're supporting us on, if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, click the episode link. You can buy one of our shirts. If you're on YouTube, click the many links below. Please go to our website, TemporarySpaceStudios. Watch my new short film. I would really appreciate it. Go to Lettuce Wear Clothing, buy our merch. Follow us on Twitter at LettuceJim. There's many links below. Just click one. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Drive safe and shit. Oh wait, I did it wrong. Hold on. I'm Jim Lettuce. Drive safe and shit.